It's been absolutely ages since I made a video, and I won't go into the mundane reasons why, but off camera I've been pottering away on a few different projects, but principally still my 3D scanner work. I had to go and check my channel to see what state I last reported in, but I posted back in February with some progress on the Mark II scanner. So the Mark II used a contact probe to measure the distance to the surface of the object. The big change from the Mark I was using the belt drive to advance the probe, which made it more accurate. And I had some success making some point clouds from the Mark II results. My conclusion from the Mark II was that it didn't have the resolution that I wanted, and it struggled with the probe slipping when it made contact with angled surfaces. There are also other problems. I could only measure as far as the middle of the turntable, so parts that are not centred or have deep holes, like a coffee cup handle, didn't scan particularly well. Also, despite making the contact sensor as gentle as possible to trigger, it still had a tendency to push on the part, either flexing it or moving and distorting the measurements. To address a number of these issues, I've decided on a radical redesign for my next version. I'm going back to an optical measuring system. I'm using a 650 nanometer 5 microwatt red laser, like you'd find in a laser pointer, and I'm configuring it as a beam break system. I sweep the laser through the space containing the part. When the laser beam is broken, then the part's in the way, and when the laser beam passes right through the space, there's no part in the way. This gives me a kind of silhouette for the part at a particular height and angle. In theory, and this part is still theory, I can stitch together all the different silhouettes to calculate the volume of space that the part occupies. A downside of using the silhouette is that it can only measure certain shapes, the so-called convex hull, so I can measure things that bulge out, but not things that dip inwards. The laser design needs to sweep the full depth of the part, and the Mark III only has limited travel. I've got 80mm of movement for the carriage based on the belt drive, so there was no point having a turntable larger than 80mm in this prototype. So I've started to build what I guess is going to be the Mark IV based on this laser measurement system. Using the lessons I've learnt from the Mark III, the main problem is size. My target build volume is a coffee mug, but these 150mm steel rods only actually translated into 80mm of travel, which didn't give me enough travel to measure anything like that volume. So I'm going big. The Mark IV is going to be based on these enormous captured linear sliders driven by lead screws. It means I'll need to coordinate two independent lead screws to have the two sides move at once, but I can distance them arbitrarily far apart then.